Someone should probably give Chucky the CoC tag so he can talk.
I
saw you liked my Facebook comments.
I tried, I couldn't do it.
Who? What? I can do things.
It looks like it has been done.
Are you guys ready for tonight? I plan on keeping everybody till midnight. I got this.
I'll let you know I have a 2-hour mark, so let's get going.
But good news, I'll be talking for more than 2 hours.
Good news is we can mute him.
Not if I mute myself.
I think the only one we're waiting on is John. Hey, John.
Are we actually going to start on time?
Start it early and go.
Alright, guys. Welcome to the Guard of Alaska Board of Directors meeting for June 25th, 2020. We are starting at 8 o'clock p.m. on the dot. So first item on the agenda was the acceptance of the previous meeting's minutes, which should only include no decisions, but a brief update and discussion of our COVID-19 status and our mitigation efforts at that time. Has everybody taken a look or can concur with the idea that we didn't do any official decisions 2 weeks ago?
I concur.
I concur.
Cool. So I got 2. Let's see, who are we missing? Rolo.
Yes.
All right. Yep. And Victor.
Yep.
Yep, cool. All right, we got everybody on board on that. All right, so item number 1 on the agenda is, besides that, sorry, item 2, I guess, the COVID-19 Phase 2 mitigation plan. So there's an updated document. Hopefully you've all taken a look at it. Stephanie, do you mind giving us the highlights of what those changes would be if we were to adopt this tonight?
Absolutely. So the changes are, we are looking to open ANS and fighters practice as well as our regular meetings. We have decided that ANS must be held at a public place. It will not be held at your home. Masks will be required if you're unable to maintain social distancing, which at this point is still 6 feet. Fighters practice can only be held outdoors in a public place. You must have masks if you're going to do up close drilling. If you can maintain a 10-foot space and you're doing like just single person drills, you can take your mask off. The reason why we say 10 feet at this point is because of exertion. All right. The next highlight is if you are on the sidelines and you have a 6-foot distance between everyone, you can take your mask off, but this is only if you're on the sideline and only if you're going to maintain 6 foot between non-household members. For example, Jason and I can sit next to each other on the sidelines. However, me and Nalarian cannot without our masks. All right. You can bring food to the park only, and if Puppet's listening, only if it's in a single-use container, i.e. bags of chips, prepackaged single-serving cookies, etc., etc., etc. Of course, bottles of water are still acceptable, or juice, etc. Don't forget, COVID-19 is still out there. If you are tested, please immediately notify your monarch, because then we have to start that fun process of notifying everyone else of a potential exposure. And
I don't want to
I
fall too
believe
deep.
that is the highlights.
Spend too much time writing the word
Boots
question.
has a question.
Write the actual question. It probably takes less time. No, homemade things at this time shouldn't be brought out unless somebody says otherwise.
No, we're talking like we're going to buy those, 46 packs of single serving chips type thing.
Yeah, you don't want to carry the liability of, say you found out that you got it and you handed, your super sweet treats to everybody and passed it along to everyone. That would suck. So, yeah. All right. Gideon's asking about dogs.
Actually, I think
right?
Kraken was.
Okay. So the answer with dogs, I think there is a misunderstanding here. Dogs need to be well behaved and on a leash and not intermingling between people. If you can do that, then we aren't necessarily forbidding dogs. But your dog needs to maintain social distancing, so that means leashed and not mingling between people. So it wasn't inherently that dogs were banned, but if you can't keep it leashed, then don't bring your dog, and that's kind of a muni rule as well. Especially for most of the places that we're at. There's a lot of furious typing. Several people are typing. Dogs at the park, Gideon. Oh, he's trying to ask in chat. He can't hear us. Okay. Hopefully somebody can, I don't know, transcribe what we're talking about. Any other immediate questions? Does anybody on the BoD have any concerns or questions before we submit this to a vote? All right, then I make a motion to adopt phase 2 of our mitigation plan.
I second that.
Cool. So let's just go voting. John, yay or nay?
Yes.
Chucky.
Yes.
Rolo.
Yes.
I say yes. Stephanie.
Yes, and I just want to throw out there, Drake had to remind everyone that COVID's still out there. Please still maintain social distancing when possible. Thank you.
And Victor.
I'm actually voting no on this one.
Okay. This didn't require a unanimous vote, so it's overall falls to a yes. Do you want to say anything about why you wanted to vote no? Any changes you wanted to have? Or any reasoning?
My only reasoning is I love the way that the document is written up. I just don't think we're ready for it. In the recent history, several of our parks have been closed because of where we've been at, and I know a lot of things everything has come back in the green, but I think this is just a little too soon, and we should be playing it a little bit safer. But that's my opinion.
Okay. Could point out that like with the major changes being ANS and fighter practice, you could decide to withhold that from your region if you think that your region might be particularly at risk.
I don't know that we actually are. I am fully aware that Alaska is at doing a really good job as far as Alaska goes, or the full spectrum goes. So I mean, it doesn't affect me personally, and I'll definitely trust my each officers locally to determine on what they're capable of doing there.
No, Victor's talking right now.
But yeah, I mean, that's just my reasoning.
Okay.
I just also want to say it might seem like the media is kind of spinning the numbers a little bit. They're reporting out of state and in state numbers all at the same time. Most of those out of state people are all at they're all the hatcheries, the sewer, the fishing places down in like on Alaska, Dutch, and all those places that are out of reach. Also, as of Tuesday, they did open up testing, like full blown, like anyone and everyone under the sun can go get a test now.
Yeah, just walk in and ask.
Yep, you just have to walk in and ask at this point. So we might see a lot of more, because the testing site, which is like right next to where I work, the line is huge to get through there. So we might see a kind of a bump in numbers as more and more people get tested. But as long as and Dr. Zink is saying, as as long as we're wearing the masks and doing our part, then everything should be good. The other thing I had was and Anchorage, I know there's grumblings about mandatory masking, and I think that's kind of actually gone up statewide a little bit, but I believe Dunleavy as kind of stood his ground as no mandatory masking. However, if Anchorage does go to mandatory masking, I mean the only thing that's going to affect us is we're going to continue to do what we're going to do, because when we get within those close quarters, we do require the masks, and that's going to be what that mandate says, is if you're within 6 feet, like in a store, in a crowd, you're going to have to wear the mask, which is what we do anyhow.
Alrighty, anything else on that item before we move on? Yep, masking is good. All right, jumping to the next item. All thing item number 14-2020R3. That was about changing the way we do our voting process. And it had over 40 votes. I don't remember the exact numbers, so if Jason wants to jump in and, say the exact numbers. I have some good enough numbers for the discussion tonight. So we had over 40 votes. We had a single abstain, 0 no's, and everybody else cast a yes vote, even those that used both of their accounts to cast yes votes. And so anyways,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I could be talking about. Unfortunately, if you look at one of the line items that describes, Jason was awesome and shared it with us. 5.1.4 says, once established, the administrative manual must be ratified by a 2/3 majority vote of the general membership. Yep, we're past that. Once adopted, the administrative manual may only be changed via a 2/3 vote of the general membership or a unanimous vote of the board. So unfortunately, the 40 plus votes that we had did not hit that threshold of the 2/3 of the overall membership. And so I think that's kind of a mix at the moment of the situation that we're in. People are kind of tuning out a little bit. We haven't been meeting super regularly and just that kind of thing. At 40 plus votes, I don't think we're sneaking anything past anybody though. Yeah, we're not going to argue that right now, but that's not what it says. I just read verbatim what it says. And so anyways, I am going to bring it to the BoD to take a look at it and say, would you guys like to approve a yes vote and adopt that based on the good faith of everybody, most people having voted yes. There was a single abstain, so I'm not trying to discount that person. So would you guys like to make a motion and or vote on that change and adopting it for immediately?
I'd like to motion that we accept it.
Okay, BoD is looking for an exact copy. I don't have it in front of me, and I kind of derailing. Yeah, the how we do voting. If that was sufficient, cool. Yep, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, the runoff thing. Yep. Instant runoff thing. Exactly. You guys got it. All right, so we have a motion to move forward. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so this will require a unanimous vote of the board to adopt in this method. So we'll start with Lupin Moon. Would you like to adopt that change?
Yes.
Astral Winds.
Aye.
Kingdom Prime Minister.
Yes.
I say yes as the Kingdom Monarch. Ravenstone.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And Frozen Coast.
Hearing the rest of the parks, I will be voting yes, but I'm voting yes very wearily.
Do you want an opportunity to talk about that, or do you want to just stick with the yes and move forward?
I'll just be sticking with the yes and moving forward.
Okay, so with that, we're going to adopt that all thing vote and count it as. I mean, technically it's not the all thing vote. Technically it was the BoD passing it, but for all intents and purposes, that all thing passes, and we'll be adopting that language. And we still need to clean up that language about how votes are counted and collected, and actually have a succinct way of doing it. But that's a whole other issue. All right. The next item, speaking of admin manual changes, was hopefully you guys all looked at that. There's a table of, let's call them corrections, because that's effectively what they are. Most of them are like typos or just misspellings, things like that, that were run into by the person. Thank you, by the way, Corin, for doing all that legwork. And so this list of corrections was handed to me, and normally, like, if it was just one simple thing, we'd be like, oh yeah, just change it, just fix it, nobody's going to notice, and if anybody notices, it's for the better. But given how many there were, I wanted to run this by you guys. And so hopefully you've all had a chance to take a peek at that. I also linked it in the Discord chat if anybody's curious what we're talking about. That was one of the links that I did when I posted the agenda. So does anybody have any questions about any of them, or should we just jump straight to a vote and move on? Okay, not hearing any. Okay, not hearing any objections or questions or issues there. I'm just gonna jump straight to a vote on that one. So Lupin Moon, are you good with making all those fixes that were in the table?
Yes.
Astral Winds.
Astral Winds, aye.
Rolo.
Yes.
I say yes. Ravenstone.
Yes.
And Frozen Coast.
Yes.
Awesome. So those are all approved. Cool. So next item on the agenda, just moving right along, Wolf's Cry permits. There are two primary permits that we need to purchase for our standard operations Wolf's Cry. The first one being the permit for food, and the second one being the one for alcohol. The food one will cost us, my understanding is $65 for the event, and the food one is $100 for the event. It's $50 a day, so we're doing Friday and Saturday. Any questions, discussion, or should we just jump straight to a vote on that? So that would be $165 that we're committing to a non-refundable thing.
I make a motion to accept.
Cool. We got a motion. Any seconds?
I'll second that.
Awesome. So, voting food and alcohol permits. Lupin Moon.
Yes.
Astral Winds.
Yes.
Rolo.
Yes.
Myself says yes. Ravenstone.
Yes.
Frozen Ghost.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So the one other item on there that's kind of a sub piece of Wolf's Cry is the mugs for Wolf's Cry. I got asked today about approving the funds for those, and I was like, I'll just add it to the BoD meeting. So here we are. My current thinking, I think the original request was 100 mugs, and they're coming out to be about $25-ish a piece. That is a huge sum that I think is a little outside what we should be committing to that. So I was discussing with some people that have previously run and hosted those. So they said that they've typically spent around $700 for that, aiming for 50 to 60 mugs. I am leaning towards dropping that even a little less and approving only about $500, maybe even less, unless if you guys want to talk me down.
So when I did DC, I purchased enough mugs to cover all the Mammoth tickets. Anyone who purchased beyond that, and then like maybe 10 more above that. So I think all in all, I spent around $580 some dollars. So that would be about a number I would be comfortable with, around 500.
About 500. Okay. So they would like approval to purchase the physical mugs here like tonight. So we're a little past the like opening up for pre-order phase. Yeah, see, Dally, the capitalist. I don't want to misspeak and say Mammoth and Gold. I understand that Mammoth get them. I don't know offhand if Gold get them. And I don't want to misspeak, so. But it looks like Kraken might be answering there in just a second. Okay, so let's, instead of setting a flat number, let's say that let's give them approval to order obviously all the Mammoth ones and all the gold tickets that will be purchased as of tonight. That could be your rush, because we'll assume that Kraken will look at this tomorrow. So get your gold ticket right now if you're paying attention, so we can buy all the ones for Mammoth, all the ones for Gold, and then up to how many extra mugs do you think we should say on top of that? Maybe up to 10 extras?
I would just 10.
Okay, so then up to 10 extras, and if the price of all of that goes over $500, then to freeze and reach out to me again. Does that sound like a good plan? So we have an upper cap, and then we kind of have some fuzzy numbers to work off of, so that if people are purchasing their gold tickets right now to secure that mug, then we're covered.
Is there a sale going on right now, Kraken?
I think the only thing we saw was a 20% off. At least that's what I saw when I looked.
Should have got them when I had 40.
Yeah. All right. That's my tentative plan. Do you guys want to vote on that, or seal the deal in that way, or is a CEO's?
I would like to speak up on this for a moment, if you don't mind. I'm actually against it, and there's a couple of reasons. I hate to be the againster tonight. I feel like that's going to go on all night. But
there should always be a person questioning things, always.
Well, the thing that hits me hardest is, yes, I know we're financially we financially need to be responsible, especially moving forward with the lack of funding that we have. But by no means am I personally okay by reducing the amount of membership quality at one of our major events out of two in the year. So personally, I'm all for having Wolf's Cry, as we have always had Wolf's Cry, and making up the difference later on. The same goes for Dungeon Con or Dungeon Crawl, whatever happens from that. 100%, it should be the event that it has always been, no matter what, and we will make up the difference after. So that's my personal feeling, and that's how I would vote.
So if I'm hearing you right, what you're really against is you don't want to limit the mug purchasers, that you want them to be able to do what they normally do. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, what is the reason that we fundraise in the first place if not to have the event that we have today? And I know that we're on a budget and I know that things are tight, but we have places where we can make that up elsewhere. Do not skimp on our members, even if it's a mug or if it's a ticket or if it's a tent spot or if it's the dinner or if it's the award. I think AmpGuard for Northreach, especially being that we only have 2 events per year where we as a kingdom really get together, there should not be any relaxing there. Again, that's my opinion. I'm not a financial expert. I know we are going to be hurting, but I think we together can come together to make up that difference as a group rather than scraping by on the two, one of the 2 events that we get together to enjoy.
Here's my comment to that, and I don't think we're trying to skimp on and cheating anyone out of a mug. The thing with the mugs is you have to order them now, so we actually have them in time for Wolf's Cry. So I had to do it when I ordered them for Dungeon Con. I ordered them about a month in advance, and because they take time to print and ship, etc. And so we do have to look at that point. So we do have to cut off pre-sales for them at some point. Otherwise, we're not going to have the mugs at all. But then we got to also look toward, well, how many people are going to purchase a mug? I know there are some people out there that they're waiting for they're like, oh, I'm not going to get my mug until next year because then I know I'll get it at a discount price. So we tend to make the idea, I don't know what the price of them, he said about $25 a mug right now, or $20 a mug. If we can get them on sale, that's great, because then we do have a difference of resale value because it's built into part of the ticket price. So that's my comment. Is I know hopefully we're not trying to look like we're skimping, but as we do need to get them ordered in order to get them.
So, but just my argument to that, Jen, with all respect, is order big. And if we have access to or extra at towards the event or even during the feasting, give those suckers out, right? Tell the kingdom that we appreciate our members. Give them to the people that are winning the events or have made something cool or got an award or got a title. Let's not go home with extra cups in a case, but let's not. I shouldn't have used the word skimping, but I just don't want to lessen the event or order too few when so many people hold on to that mug as a memory, like I was there. That's how I hold on to my mug, and it's a mug. If we got to order a few.
During Dungeon Con, we had old mugs for sale too, so we do end up with extra mugs, and every event has a budget to it, and maybe that's where we should start from, is what was the actual budget for the mugs on the bid that Kraken submitted.
Good point.
And also, I know I have 3 mugs left over from Dungeon Con, so that's where my line of thinking is. And I think at Dungeon Con I had at least a case of the ones from Wolf's Cry of last year. So
Kraken, do you happen to have that number handy? Do you know how much was on your bid, or do I need to look that up?
He's looking it up now. I also unmuted you, Kraken, so if you want to jump in, realize you don't have to be silent.
He said 750, and that seems like a probably fairly reasonable number.
I'd be comfortable with sticking with that.
Do it.
Yeah, the sticker shock of $2,500 is where this conversation started from, and that was where I threw a flag down and was like, no.
That does seem overkill.
Yeah, $2,000 is too much. They better be gilded in gold for $2,000.
Well, there's a couple things at play there. We aren't getting them at as deep of a discount as we normally do, so there's no profit margin to be made for us, which normally we make a few bucks on each mug.
Can I bring up my other idea I was telling you about earlier, Larian?
You're gonna get shot. You're gonna get shot by Victor. I'm warning you. You can do it, but Victor's gonna take you out.
Well, now he has to do it.
Pew pew.
Okay. So here is my idea. I was looking at prices and alternatives, the mugs. We could get the customized beer pints for about $12 cheaper an item, and that means we could stretch the money farther and have something that's still good quality that shows the event, and it's cheaper.
Can I see?
Post a pic in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
It's
can
a
I
16
see,
ounce bar
photo
glass.
difference?
It's a 16 ounce
Oh,
bar
okay.
glass is what it is.
I mean, I'm all for variety, so I've got like 3 mugs already. So a pint glass seems pretty dope. But that's just my onion.
So just under not being able to drink perspective, I really enjoy coffee a lot, and my mugs are really important to me for all the events because that just shows how much I get to see you guys, which isn't very often, and it's always really fun. So when I drink coffee every morning, I get reminders of how cool it was to see you guys. That's a big deal.
I mean, you can, Gwen, but I broke one on my birthday, and they blamed me being drunk. I was only barely buzzed, too. I shattered that stupid glass.
I'm seeing a lot of comments that go for mugs.
Sounds like we need some mugs.
Yeah, sounds like mugs is gonna be the way to go.
Maybe we'll get lucky and a 40% deal will pop here real quick.
Yeah, Mara said that the July is generally when the big discounts hit.
So I'm just curious. We've ordered mugs from these people for how many years? Is there any possible thought of contacting them and asking for a discount?
I mean that I don't probably. And then do we have to use that vendor?
Well, there's that too, but I bet you more than anything, just like everyone else, that company is being affected by COVID, and that they would be more than happy to give a discount for an order.
Especially if we tell them, hey, we want to order more, but our limit is this, so if you can give us a break, we can order more.
You have to be careful what the limit is this, because basically if you're saying, I'll give you $750, how many mugs can I get? Suddenly you're going to have a $750 mug.
Yeah, you make sure the person that's talking knows what they're doing, but still, hey, we're trying to use a budget, and the better deal we get, you guys get what I'm saying.
Yep.
Well, you put it out like you're putting a bid out, then it comes across that they want to get the bid, right? So if you just make it like they're the only vendor you're using, then they're not going to give you their best deal.
All right, so let's vote on approving and maintaining a $750 budget for mugs.
I second.
Lupin Moon.
Yes.
Astrowinds.
I
Rolo.
Yes.
Ravenstone.
Yes.
Frozen Coast.
Yes.
Okay. Does that work for you, Kraken? You got $750 to spend on the bugs.
We will make it work.
Okay. And I think they said mugs. If you go for pint glasses, they're gonna lynch you.
Well, there's a couple of people who wanted pint glasses. So this is an idea. I was going to ask the BoD, could I put a square item up there where they can purchase either a mug or a pint glass? This way they can order it and we can just buy it out of that and bring that to them.
The more you order of a single item, the bigger discount you get as they increase. So meh.
Well, when do you want that cutoff to be? When did you want to place this order?
That's a good point. This should have been something I would have opened up at the beginning, like of June.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, that's the problem.
Yeah, I'll retract that motion then.
I think it's a good point for next year, though, to kind of pass on some notes.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that was all the items that I had for the BoD meeting tonight, unless anybody has anything they want to add. So I make a motion to adjourn the BoD meeting for June 25th.
Second.
Alright. Loop and Moon, do you want to adjourn?
Yes.
Westerwinds.
Yes.
Rolo.
Yes.
Ravenstone.
Yes.
Frozen Coast.
Yes.
And I say yes too, so we are adjourned at 8:33 p.m. Next. Oh, people are leaving. They're just here for the BoD. Solid. I like that commitment. I mean, that's solid. All right. CoC meeting. June 25th. Let me make sure I got my notes. First item on the agenda is the ambassador report. Do you have anything to, let me unmute you? Oh, you're already unmuted. Look at that. Fancy. Take it away, Gwen.
Today. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. So for ambassador's report, I posted to the Northreach page about the budget for AmpGuard International. So if you have not had a chance to take a look at that, please take a gander at that. Some folks have already started commenting. As you comment, you'll notice that Jared, who is our current interim XCOM, is currently looking at that and also works with the AIBOD. And he's been up there answering. I am super, super grateful because he has a lot more answers than I do. And even Azriel Jade has been jumping on to help because she was there when it was voted in about all of our legal fees, which was the big question on there. And that was probably the biggest price tag on there. My understanding is that the legal fees will eventually change, but it doesn't mean that the BoD won't need a budget of some sort. Previously, there was no BoD budget for AmpGuard International. Everybody just sort of chipped in where they could. And now that we are becoming a group of 21 kingdoms, that's something that we all need to look at and decide how we want to go forward with that, because there are fees associated with running AmpGuard as an international organization. And that's not going to go away. That's going to increase. And so we need to make sure that we're cognizant of that and making sure that we are doing our best to make sure our volunteers aren't having to cover those costs themselves. And that's something we're looking at on the local level here with Northreach as well. So we just need to make sure that we're recognizing that that's a problem in the larger group. Any questions on that one? All right.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So on their budget creation, are they using that? Because typically you determine what your estimated revenues are, and then you figure out what you can use your expenses on from there. Are they essentially just going, okay, this is what we expect to spend, and now they're going to figure out how to come up with the revenues to cover that?
Yes. So what is going on with that budget is that they are basically taxing, for lack of a better word, each of the kingdoms about $2,000 to cover a lot of those. But the problem is that the BoD doesn't produce money in any way, shape, or form. Does that make sense?
Sure. So their exclusive revenue stream is those taxes essentially that they're getting from these kingdoms.
Yes.
I think my only concern here is I know, like, our kingdom, we're not in a super bad place, but we're not in the best of places, and so I imagine we're going to have other kingdoms that are in a rough shape. So I just don't. Is the Circle of Monarchs talking about that, like that some of these kingdoms might not be able to afford this $2,000 tax that they're asking for? Right,
and in the past, kingdoms haven't paid it. And so that's why it should be actually $1,888. And so it's a little bit more than that. But we have kingdoms that haven't been able to pay because of not being able to collect the revenue from their organizations. And so it evens out in the end, and we actually end up in a deficit from some of it because kingdoms just can't pay, and there's never been a penalization for kingdoms that can't pay. And yes, it is something that the Circle of Monarchs is actively discussing, and this budget goes to all the Circle of Monarchs first for us to review. And so with your input, I'll go back to the Circle of Monarchs and let them know what folks feel about it.
And so I just want to clarify, because I think this is what you said. So if one of the kingdoms can't pay, they expect the other kingdom to make up for that slack, or do they just not have the money?
Yes and no. That's my understanding, is that in the past they have cut parts of their budget to accommodate the fact that they have not had money to cover it. But some kingdoms do pay up. And so for the majority, we're getting stuff paid for in the last year anyway. I believe they have a running total on that budget too. Correct me if I'm wrong, of what last year looked like. And yeah, it has no teeth. And that's part of the problem, is that there's nothing, everybody's afraid to offend anyone. So there's no teeth to getting people to actually pay that budget. And yes, it appears that those of us who actually pay on time are covering that. But also, there are additional costs that happen per kingdom. And so any board of directors should always have a net that they're sitting on in case anything happens. That is good big business practice. And you should always have 10% of what your net worth is as an organization sitting aside for rainy day slush fund. If anybody ever does business, you'll know that that's how it's normally run. And so there's been anything that's extra from each year, they bank and they put it aside in case there is a rainy day situation where somebody can't pay or whatnot. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, oh, no, absolutely. I know all about that. My other question is, were they talking at all about what as some sort of, I guess not punishment, but are they going to levy anything against the other kingdoms that aren't going to pay at all, or are they just going to let it ride?
Currently, that's the discussion in the Circle of Monarchs group as to what can be done, especially in the time of COVID when we're all trying to figure out what we're going to do with fundraising. And so that discussion isn't completed yet. And so we're talking about that. Currently, it doesn't sound like for this year they're going to issue any kind of penalty for that, but that is to be determined, and the Circle of Monarchs are actively talking about it to try and figure out a solution.
Yeah, and I agree. This past few months, we're very lucky to actually have some sort of interaction going on, which I think the rest of the lower 48 is pretty much still in timeout. So,
yes, we are very lucky with having as much interaction as we do. We also aren't in as critical of a state as a lot of other places are, where they, can't leave their houses and such like that. So I don't know. As I find out more information from the Circle of Monarchs, I'll pass it on to everybody so that you guys kind of know where everything's sitting.
All right, thank you, Astriana. Is there anything else anybody wants to poke on her or pick on her about?
Yes. What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
It would be Moose Tracks.
That is a good one. I like it. I approve.
And then, so beyond budget, I have other stuff. So
okay.
I'm trying to make it quick. I'm sorry.
No, you're good,
so there are positions open on the AI BoD, and so they're looking for folks to sign up for jobs. If you are interested in positions on the AI BoD, please go to the AmpGuard's Circle of Monarchs. I'll try and post the little thing that they listed all of it so that people can know what's out there. They're looking for lots of different volunteers. They're also looking for more moderators for different groups. So if you are interested, there should be a change coming to that maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then if you are interested, please send a message to myself or to Nalarian, and we can make sure that you get put in for whatever position you're interested in. I'll post those to the Northreach site tonight so that you guys know. So please take a look at some of those positions, because they're desperate for some more volunteers that'd be interested in doing stuff internationally versus just at the local level. That's it for me.
Okay. Any other questions for her? Anybody wanna? This is your last chance.
Going once.
All right, Astriana's free. You cannot refer to her for the rest of the meeting. You guys heard me. I said last chance. That's it. All right. Next item. Lupin Moon has a big, massive? Let's go with massive questing day this Saturday, June 27th, at Lupin Moon. So at their traditional outdoor park. Come rain or shine. They're going to do things and quests and stuff in the woods. So don't miss out if you're in the region, or even if you're not in the region and you're like, feeling spunky and want to drive somewhere or fly. I guess, Adge, if you want to fly, you should have bought your ticket already.
Ada is using her
It's gonna be
4%
lit.
of battery to ask Astriana what her favorite song is. Will somebody please address this?
Nope, it was too late. Too late. All right. Next item, Grand Mammoth. That's happening July 11th in Astral Winds. Do you want to say anything about that, Chucky, while you're here?
Yeah, for the most part, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I forgot to call the library today, but I still need to check the library to see if we can use the space. The original option said no, not with the virus. The only real thing is let everybody know we're going to try and make, whether you're hand delivering it, bringing it with somebody else, mailing it, the cutoff for reception is probably going to be 10:30 Saturday. And I'm going to try and get all the pre-registration and all that other information out tonight.
Cool, thank you. Next item, Kingdom's Diversity Inclusion Officer. We had 2 candidates, and I realized in the agenda I basically spoiled the outcome of this, but we had, I'm looking for my notes, which are in here somewhere. There they are. We had Brianna Rivas and Caleb Hall. I think is Mouse. Is that right? Mouse from Frozen Coast? Am I messing that up? Okay, no, got it. All right, and Dolt from Astral Winds. And they both had really interesting resumes that they submitted. So I was staring at it and trying to figure out, personally, like which one would I want to vote for? And it just came to me as like, why am I having to pick? They're in different regions, having more people to approach with situations that would be of this nature, and having a teammate to coordinate what could be a very open-ended job would probably be a win for everybody, the organization, each other, and everything. So unless the CoC really wants to talk me out of it, I am leaning towards the idea of assigning it to both of them and having them be co-leads on this new venture. Does anybody from the CoC want to jump in and say anything about that? Stop me, tell me I'm totally wrong. Victor, you have the floor.
Yeah. Have you asked either one of them of this brilliant idea what their thoughts are?
I have not yet, because raisins.
Cool. Well, I vote yes.
That's a good idea. I
think-
like it.
Dodal might be giving you his opinion.
Quick, pass it.
I think a puppet's trying to sabotage people. Setting
I also vote yes. That's 2 votes. Let's go.
votes. Yes.
Oh, yes, quick.
I
Yes,
think everybody
yes,
said
3.
yes.
I vote wait to see what Dodal has to say.
Dang it! That
he
ruins the
trying to
joke.
Quick, yes.
1 vote.
All that, he says 100% yes. Psh!
Right? It's like, that took a long time. Were you looking for the percent key? He was looking for the percent key, wasn't he? All right. So
not
that's the plan. All right, knocking it out. We gotta keep people here. We got a 2-hour mark. We've almost used half of it, and we haven't even. Yeah. So next item. Congrats. I'll send messages to Brianna and to Caleb and kind of confirm and make sure everybody's on board and good with that. And if not, we'll move forward with that. we'll figure it out if we need to. All right. Next item, Northreach auction. That is ending this Saturday, the 27th. We've actually made quite a good chunk of change. I mean, obviously, it's not going to make up for the lack of the Alaska State Fair and stuff like that. Last I looked, which is not an accurate number, but of items that have been paid or at least bids that were closed, I think we were over, I want to say about $1,500 already. So that's been really awesome. Thank you guys. That's fantastic. And we have a couple more days to finish those up. If you got some super awesome secret item to throw up that, you know, like Mara's embroidery machine, or, you know, if anybody's got one of those that they want to sell to me for a reasonable price, and I'll give it to Northreach. Anyways, yeah, a couple more days left on that. That's ending June 27th. All right. Here's the next item. There was kind of a request to allow folks that have been banned from events to attend Fuji's memorial, which is for the memorial that's being held at Wolf's Cry. It's not his only memorial, and it wasn't his funeral. There's a little bit of misunderstanding about that. But there is a memorial in his honor being held at Wolf's Cry, and there is effectively a request to allow folks that have been banned from events to attend that memorial. There's two immediate questions that come to mind to me if we were to discuss this or open it up. And the first of which being, is it just those that are banned from events versus anybody else who might be banned from anything else? And then the second question is, do we include court or is it just the memorial portion? So I'm going to open the floor to the rest of the COC if anybody has any comments that they would like to make about that.
I think anybody that was banned and had a connection to him and is willing and or wanting to go should be allowed to for the time period.
I do not agree.
I like the idea, but I have to say I disagree as well. There are, as you pointed out, there are other memorials that he can go to. They made their mistakes. They've got to pay their penalty.
Right, but somebody passed away in an AMCAR setting, especially if they're close to him. I feel like it'd be more wrong to take away the opportunity for them to, I guess, say goodbye in the sense if they're not connected to him family-wise outside of AMCAR, because there's people who just know each other from AMCAR and that's how they stay connected. And for people who are close to him and, you know, just AMCAR-wise, and if they happen to be banned, I don't know if they are or aren't, but
the person in question did attend his actual funeral, so he did get to pay his respects. He had overheard a discussion about Wolf's Cry and a memorial there. He, I don't believe, is a close person. He is not banned from Northreach. He's only banned from overnight events, and it has, in my opinion, he should stay banned from overnight events, and we shouldn't make exceptions, because if we make for an exception for one person, we're going to have to make exceptions for everyone that's banned, and I don't think that is in good form for us.
You don't think, given the situation, it's a slightly different matter than,
No.
you know, just okay.
It creates a precedence.
Right.
And he attended the funeral, which is enough for him to pay his respects.
No, I understand that, but I'm also not looking at this from just one person's point of view. I'm trying to look at it from anybody and everybody who is banned and had a connection. So, I mean, unless we've talked to every single person who is currently banned from overnight events or in the Kingdom of Northreach, and they only knew from AMCAR and wanted a chance to pay their respects, and we're denying them of that, that's my perspective.
So I'd like to put a different perspective on this. Personally, I'm all for pretty much anybody other than a vulgar offense coming to pay their respects at an AMCAR event for someone that has passed away. I mean, to clarify, that person is no longer in this world. And their only interactions with that person may have been through AMCAR, which I don't know for other people, but to me, takes up a large part of my life. I am okay with a great number of people that have been suspended or banned from AMCAR as a whole. to come to an event. Now, I do think that there has to be regulations on just the interaction with other people. But if we were to make an area where people could come and watch the event, I think that is entirely appropriate. And we shouldn't be, as said in the comments, limiting how other people can show their grievances. This person is no longer in this world, and they should have the opportunity, whether or not they went to a different funeral or another, to come to this.
What if we found a middle where we allowed the people who are wanting to come by a lot, like let them know, we could even reach out if we wanted to, for the folks who we know at least were with him while he was here, where we allowed them to reach out, or we allowed them to, if they wanted to, write a letter and just say, hey, I would like to come to this and this is why, and just let them do it that way.
Absolutely. I mean,
Instead
if
of
it needs to be on a...
Well, instead of opening it to everybody, just open it to those who want to, can tell us that they want to.
I offered that to the person and I didn't get a response. We got a public post on the Northreach page.
Well, I mean...
Well, to put that into consideration, I mean, a lot of people are confused about our petitions or what is possible by, contacting the Council of Crowns compared to making a petition. So in all honesty, he may view that as his only option, was to make a petition rather than talking to the entire council.
Well, I had also made it clear to him that I would reach out to him and I would bring it to the Council of Crowns for this exact situation.
So people who approach the COC wanting to, given reason or a letter of consideration, could potentially be allowed. Is that kind of where we're at? Because I think that's pretty good. Like anybody who wants to can let us know why, and if they do, and then we can do it by a person-person basis. Person by person.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I'm sitting there.
Bueller.
Sorry, typing to chat. All right. Yeah, I'm good with that. So let's set up this process. If you are not allowed to attend the event, you need to send me a message, and then I will post it to the COC, and we will vote and determine and give you an answer as soon as the COC is able to vote on it internally. So we won't have that in sync with public open-ended meetings. That way you can get a response much quicker, because basically as soon as I get the post, within a couple hours, barring I'm in the bathroom at work, whatever, something, I'll post it to the COC page. We'll all vote on it and give you your single exemption or approval. Does that sound like a fair process for folks?
Sounds good to me.
Can we also add that it's exclusively for the event of the
memorial service specifically?
Yes.
And it will not include court. It will not include anything else, and you will be asked to leave. And just because people always need that last ultimatum step, we know how to call the cops if needed to have somebody escorted that refuses to leave. Not that I think we'll ever have to escalate to that, but I hope, God, please, nobody challenges that. I'm knocking on wood now that I've said it.
And I want to say I'm not like hard no against it. What I'm more irritated about is some events that led up to this, and then that I personally reached out to him, and I felt like I was just overshot, even with having the one-on-one conversation with him, and suddenly everything just kind of blew up and went public, and it was brought to kind of to a head. I think I'm more irritated with the actions that took place than him asking to come to their funeral, the memorial. So
without having seen all that, just from what I've heard, it's like, yeah, I would have been a lot more upfront with, yes, I'm on board with this, had he gone through the proper channels and waited. Now I'd be a little more hesitant, but given what we've discussed, I'm at least open to the idea before we make a final vote on whether he comes or not.
That individual. This is assuming it's the only individual that asks. And for extra bonus points, because this would be a temporary unban, it would require a 2/3 vote of the CoC to pass. So there's a slightly higher threshold than just simple majority. So just forewarning, and we'll still have to approve it. It could be denied in the other channels. So do we want to vote on that so we're all on the same page? I say yes, so I'm just going to say Astro wins. Are you good with that as the plan?
Yeah, I'm good with the plan, because like you said, we can always say no later.
Okay. Lupin Moon.
Yes.
Frozen Coast.
Yes, and I would like to point out that this is not setting a precedence for future events. This is a precedence for this specific vote right now.
Okay, Frozen Coast. DLC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
Ravenstone.
Did no one hear what I said?
Yep, we did.
Oh, cool.
So we're voting to say contact us the right way, right?
Yeah, basically, it will be contact me, and then I will put it to a vote to the CoC, and we will see if there is a temporary unban.
Okay, then yes.
Okay. So no promises besides me being the conduit for communication and voting. All right. That was all the items I had for the open CoC meeting, except for the one that we maintained for populist questions and concerns. So if there's anything that anybody's brought up in the chat that I've missed, skimmed, or not answered yet, this is your last 20 seconds or so, because I need to scoop Rosadeth away into another meeting, which is less open, before he runs away from us. He said he had a time limit.
I'm being scooped. Ooh.
Little spoon, little spoon.
There you go. Will
Yes,
masks
so
be provided or available at events? Yes.
Yes, I have tons of masks.
Technically limited quantity, but it will be quite the quantity.
A limited, large amount quality.
I've also seen some more industrious folks that have started selling them too. So if you haven't encountered those.
I was going to say, I gave the Regents a really good pattern.
I know Guinevere made quite a few that I believe she's selling fairly cheap.
What is the final call for canceling Wolf's Cry? We could cancel it the Thursday before, because if something happens, we will cancel it then. But so far, we are hesitantly and cautiously moving forward. That's kind of where we're at. Is basically it's a go so far, but we'll have to,
The
if something
permits
happens.
the permits are the only thing we'd really lose out on if we have to, cancel too early. Or late, rather.
Refunds and keep your mug? It's all about the mug. Yeah, we'll have to work that out. We'll definitely be processing refunds minus the costs of physical items if they're still delivered. So that'll be something we'll have to sit down and figure out the math on.
The site will refund us. The state fair changed their policy, so if we cancel, they'll give us our money back.
Yeah, the price is now $150 for the mammoth mug.
Good thing I already bought my ticket. So many typers.
Yep. I'm like, when do you call it, right? I'm like staring at the chat going, are we... Shut up, puppet. There we go.
Wait, is Puppet still that CoC red?
No, I bumped him out of that.
Wait
Look
a
at
minute,
Rose of
did we-
Death
did-
versus Puppet.
Did we vote him out? We haven't voted him out. He's still on the BoD.
You don't vote people out of the BoD. They change. You didn't have to. You didn't. When like there's a rain change and stuff, you don't.
He quit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's stuck on the BoD for life. All right, so let's end it there. So I'm gonna kill the stream.